Right, today I'm making some fresh pasta. Still got a bit of a sniffy snout, to be honest. Been under the weather for a while now. Anyway, that aside, let's not feel sorry for me anymore. Right, that's enough. I can see the tears there. Yeah, I know. Right, so I'm making some fresh pasta because I'm making some tortellini. I'm going to do spinach and ricotta filling today, and I think I've actually done fresh pasta before. In fact, I'm sure I have. Anyway, we're going to do it again because this time I'm not doing, like I say, I'm not doing fettuccine or linguine or anything like that. I'm doing tortellini, so I'm using the flat sheets. Now, some of you might say, well, you know, I don't make fresh pasta, whatever. It's one of those things that a lot don't because they think it's harder than it actually is, but it's not. And a lot of people have stuffed away in the cupboard somewhere, one of these little pasta machines that somebody bought them at some time, never ever gets used. So it's time to resurrect it and give this a go. So the recipe we're going to use for the fresh pasta is by a chef named Theo Randall, who's highly respected as an Italian, well, English Italian chef. He's not Italian. And yeah, I've done his recipe a few times. I've done a few different fresh pasta recipes, and I've done his a few times now, and I'm quite impressed, to be fair. So I'm kind of, I've jiggery pokeyed it a bit to make it workable, and to make it work every time. Because as soon as you start talking about eggs, these things don't come in exact packages. They're organic things. Well, these are, I don't know if they are, they're celluloid, which means they vary in size. So, without further ado, let's crack on with this. So I'm using, so basically it's flour, eggs, and semolina, which we're going to come on to. But let me go on to the flour first. The type of flour I'm using, right, is it's a Tipo 00 flour, which means it's basically a finer grind, which gives you a better result for things like pasta and pizza. So you tend to go for that. So if you can find like a pizza flour, it'll probably be good enough for doing pasta. So you look for the 00, and the 00 just generally means it's very finely milled. You know, it quite often the same protein flour and everything else, but it's finely milled. So I'm using a pizza flour, which is a Tipo 00. And if you haven't got that, you haven't got it. You just use your normal flour, but it wants to be some strongish, about 12.5% protein. Right, without further ado, 350 grams. I talk too much now, give myself a sore throat. So I'll get that in there, 350, get that in there. And we're going to also talk about some of the things we're not going to add. In fact, let's use this. 350, let's get that in. So, let me get this so I can see what I'm doing. Let's see what I'm doing. 350. I like being precise with this, and I'll tell you why. Well, like most things, I don't like being precise. It's because I want to get the same result every time, and because eggs vary, this absolutely needs to be the same. But anyway, I'll come on to what I'm going to do with that. Now, this is semolina. It's just called semolina that you get in the shop. Now, you normally get a coarse ground, or you can get a fine ground. The stuff I'm using is fine, and if you haven't got any fine ground, if you get the coarse stuff and whiz it through your blender, it makes it finer. So I'm going to put 25 grams of this in. So, which was going to take it to 375, if we can get ourselves sorted. We're nearly there, 374. Go on, you little tinker. Doesn't want to go with the last grab. There we go, 375. So that's it. So get that in our blender. So in our Magimix or food processor, whatever you want to call it. So this is the important bit, the addition of the eggs. So egg wise, we want 4 yolks and 3 whole eggs. Right. So let's separate the yolks first. Let's get that sorted. Let's see where we go from there. Now I'm actually going to weigh the yolks. In fact, I'm going to weigh everything, because what I've discovered obviously this is the point I was trying to make. What I've discovered is if you stick to a certain weight, total weight of eggs, it will be fine. It won't be too dry, which will cause your pasta to crack when you try to roll it and stuff like that. And it won't be too wet, which will cause it to stick. So if you follow the instructions, you'll get it about right. So what we're looking for is between 235 to 237-ish of egg by weight. So let's sort this out. Let's talk. Let's get it sorted. So let's get our I tell you what, I'll just put them straight in there because I'm not going to need that box. So 4 egg yolks and 3 whole eggs. Normally about 15 grams per egg yolk. That's 13, so I know I'm going to be down a little bit. These are looking a little bit on the small side. Now let me just point out as well with the eggs, I'm using golden yolk eggs. What's the difference? Well, they're a lot yellower. Better colour, much better colour, which is very good for certain things if you're bothered about the colour. Really brings out the colour of certain things. If you're doing quiches and things like that, it's very good. Custards makes it yellower, all sorts of things. Some things you maybe don't want as yellow, like maybe if you're doing mayonnaise, you don't want yellow mayonnaise. But in general, it is better. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to aim for 60 with the yolks, and if I haven't got 60, I might just put an extra one, as long as the total volume doesn't exceed what we're looking for. So let's see what we've got there. Broke one there, haven't I? 53. Yeah, let's give it another yolk. I'm going to give it another yolk. If it's a bit, like I say, I'm going to make up the total volume in anyway with the whites. So let's stick that in. I've got yolk in me white, which means actually, if I wanted to use that for this, there's my white bowl down here. If I wanted to use it for meringues, it'll be stuffed now because you don't want egg yolk in your egg whites because they won't whip up. So that's 67, which is about 7 grams more than I need. However, let's get in with this. So I want 3 whole eggs now and see what we get to. So there's 1, and I'm not going to fully add the last egg till I know I'm not going to put too much in there. I don't need to do that. I don't know what we're doing that for. Right, let's get the last one in. So I'm looking for about 237 grams in total. Let's see what we've got. 220. So how many have we got in there in total? Oh, I've lost count now. I tell you one, it doesn't matter. I'm still looking for 237. So what I'm going to do now, I'll be able to tell. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to add a bit of this white just to make up the volume. So I want 237. So that's the combined total. 240. Let's just take a bit out. Let's take a bit out there. 238. 237. Come on. Take a little bit of that. That's perfect. Right, 237 grams. There we go. I know that looked a little bit of a faff on, because it is a bit of a faff on. But like I say, at the end of it, what I'm going to make sure that the dough's right. And I wanted just kind of, I do it normally faster than that, but I kind of wanted to demonstrate when it comes down to it, if you just follow a few basic principles, you'll get it right every time. So like I say, some things change, and it's the egg size changes every time. So let's get that in there, and hopefully, tell you what, I'll just get me a little scraper because I've busted a couple of busted yolk, and I want that in there because that's going to give me my richness for me filling, for me pasta, not for me filling. And we're going to get this whisked up, and basically it's just going to come together. We're going to press it together and stick it in the fridge in some cling film. So let's get this on. You'll notice I didn't add any salt, so I was coming back to the things I'm not going to add. So let's get rid of some of this. The reason I don't add salt is the salt will actually discolour the pasta dough. Right, I'm looking for that to come together like I would pastry. There we go. So as soon as that's together, as though we're doing like chocolate pastry or whatever, that's perfect. So let me just clean my mess and get rid of all of this stuff, and we'll be sorted for the next bit. So let's give me top a little wipe down. There we go. There we go. Get rid of the flour. Give it a little dry, so we're not going to stick it with our water, with our pasta. I'll move you back. Just so if you can see what I'm doing. Try to see what I'm doing. That is. There we go. So somewhere near. So basically, we're going to just take this out, just really bring it together. Now, what I'm hoping it's not going to do, and it shouldn't do, because we're about right with the ratios. I'm hoping it's not going to start sticking to the top, which it shouldn't. But if it does, a little bit's fine. But yeah, I'm just wanting to make sure that when I press it down, yeah, it's not sticking itself to the top. And we're just kneading this a couple of times. That's fine. A little bit's fine. Like I say, you'll know if it's too much, because you press that on the top and the whole thing just doesn't want to come off. So that's about as much egg yolk as you put in. A little bit less, like I say, if you go to like 235, even down to 230 grams is okay. But that is the higher end. Don't go any more than that. And all we're going to do now, I'm going to separate that into 2 pieces, and that's going to go in the fridge, and it's going to rest for about how long? About 30 minutes. So like 20 or 30 minutes should be ample. So let's just make a little bowl with that one. Same with that one, and we'll get it wrapped in cling film, and we're sorted. So there we go. That's that. Move that one side. Get your cling film out. So the reason for the cling film, like I say, is just making sure the stuff doesn't get too much, doesn't get exposed to the air, because it will start drying it out, and it's lovely and soft. So like I say, that'll be about as wet as you'd want it. You don't want it any wetter than that, that's for sure. There we go. But I've used, like I say, I've worked with that before. That kind of thing. So they're going to go in the fridge. Probably only going to use one of them. Maybe use the other one for some, I don't know, some tagliatelle or whatever I'm going to do with the other one. But one of them is going to be for me spinach and ricotta tortellini, which I'm making today. So in the fridge, and we'll be back when this is done. Sort our filling out and get it rolled out. Make our tortellini. So that's it for now. Bye for now.